Okay, sorry. I would have left it running, but I had to walk down the end of the driveway and get it was a heavy box. Okay. So anyways, I wanted to finish what I was saying though. So, you know, these controllers, they don't see us as being, of having any value. They understand too, like they have us so focused that this life, that's all you get and stuff like that. They know better than that. And that is why they do all these things and, you know, like vampire shit so that they can stay alive longer. You know, I bet you, I know I've said this a lot of times, but I bet you that some of these people are like fucking 500 years old. There's no telling. There could be some relics in those families that are fucking 10,000 years old. I swear. That's how weird shit is. And, you know, the whole thing with them trying to make this an agenda about and get these certain people, they use the trigger words, they use a manipulation to get these people to push for this stuff to be okay. And, you know, and the whole thing with, oh, well, you know, it's a 1-year-old. And they're saying that they're in the wrong body, that they're really a girl and stuff like that. Okay, well, fine. Let them play it out. But why would you go and start messing with their hormones and stuff? And I just said a little while ago what the deal is with the hormones. The hormones are fucking people up in a really bad way. And people don't even realize it. You know, there's no telling what kind of mutants they'd have by the end of this. And you got to remember who the fuck is all involved. Like, we've got, you know, when the Nazis were busted and stuff, like, they were doing some sick ass shit, sewing people together and shit. You know, that's probably where they came up with that fucking Centipede movie or whatever, when they sewed everybody's face to someone else's ass and they'd shit in their mouth or whatever weird shit they come up with. That's fucking probably because they were doing it in a goddamn lab. And that was another thing, you know, that those, and this was during the Civil War, but when I did that voodoo, you know, ghost tour or whatever, it happened to be Nicolas Cage's house. Well, I don't know if he still lived there or if he just bought it and then sold it, if he ever came and stayed or whatever, but he had bought this house. And they were talking about the story of this house, and it was creepy as fuck. I don't know why the hell he'd buy that. But the woman who owned it, she had a bunch of slaves, and then she was super abusive. I think they even did it in one of the American Horror Stories. They did this lady's story. I'm pretty sure. Maybe she was Kate, or can't think of that lady's name. Man, I'm horrible with that. Anyways, that she was super abusive, but she was also doing like science experiments, and she was cutting people's body parts off and attaching them to other, you know, all sorts of weird shit, you know. So I don't know how people are surprised by that this shit is really going on now. Like, it has gone on. And some of these evil people are the ones who are directing it. And down in the tunnels, they had, I heard that when they were pulling out those kids and stuff, that they found a lot of science experiments down there. Like, people who had never even seen, this is what just tore me up. Man, I couldn't even talk about it at first. About the people, you know, to think, like, they're born down there and they've never even seen the sky, never even seen grass. I mean, they're, you know, that is just, to me, you were fucking with souls on such a different level. And, you know, whatever souls put themselves in for that for whatever reasons, you know. But the people who are doing the evil shit, that's just, you know. And, okay, so if you think about energy, right? And you think about this being this dense, like what we talk about, this is super dense energy down here. This is where evil, a lot of evil can be. You can still, you know, you can finding, like, there's evil communication. Like I said before, I'm sure that there's people who believe that they were serial killers, or believe that they were, because they were just listening to that energy. Those voices were telling them what to do, and they thought it was voices in their own head. They thought they were this because they couldn't separate from the information that was coming in. So they believed that they were really the manufacturer of this, so therefore they were this evil. And then the impulses and stuff, and if they're showing them visions, I don't know. I stay out of that kind of energy. But there's a lot of it available here. A lot of it is able to incarnate here, It is able to live lives and experience in this kind of denser kind of places. But when you go out, and you go out of your body and stuff, and you go up in the vibration, and you go up and out of the density and stuff, and things are much happier, more buoyant, more like it is. Just think about ocean, like in the depths of the ocean, how it's dark, like it's a totally different world. And then as you go up, how much more clearly you can see. There's even a part when you get way up at the top of the water that you can see outside of the water. You can see the sky, you can see the rocks or whatever, the mountains that are around you. So that is kind of representative of how the heaven or whatever dead space is, and when you are going up in density and vibration, and things get clearer and clearer. That's why when people say, oh yeah, my guides were mad or whatever, I don't feel like my guides have ever been mad at me. I can't think of a time when my guides have shamed me or something. They've told me before I do something, like, if you do that, that's not going to be good. I'm going to like that. And, sometimes, especially as a small child, I did it anyways, and they were right. But I never had them be like, I do something, and they're like, oh, just attack you. I think, you're getting confused from your ego and your guides, I think. But, generally, the higher up, the more out, the more you detach, the more you take a step back, the larger your perspective becomes. So that is also the same with these beings, they're up watching over it. They see things in a much broader perspective. They're not hung up on the bullshit that we're hung up on. They're not sitting there and they don't play the games, we are controlled and forced to play these games. Like, fuck, we're all a bunch of fucking gladiators for their amusement. Out there cutting each other's heads off and fucking bleeding all over the place for, these horrible beasts' amusement. And that's just what it is, man. But anyways, the higher you go up, and the more positive, and the higher you go, the more positive. Just like with the water, the higher you go, the more clear you can see, the more, and there is that space that is right between, right in between the water surface and the atmosphere. That's interesting when you think about it on that, like, how, because nature always, in all of the things of nature, it represents the real, our real life, our real world, our real existence or something. Like I've seen not only the things about with music, that you can change the molecular structure of water and stuff, but that if you get microscopic down on a leaf or something like that, you see the same patterns, and the same patterns are in everything. The same patterns are in shells. Like, everything has the same patterns. Like, if you were to go and take our cells and look at them under there, you would start finding like these same patterns. So that's why I'm saying that nature will represent what we need to see. Kind of like it's always there in front of us when we want to open our eyes and see it. But so many of us find safety in keeping ourselves closed off And it feels safe to just try and live up to someone else's expectation and someone else's rules, rather than to try and figure out, well, what are the rules that I want to have? How do I keep myself? How do I take care of myself? And, a lot of people, they use all different techniques to keep from having to do that. And, we have the whole thing of like, you're fucking great. The more obedient you are, the better person you are, which is the complete opposite. Put it in the mirror. It's the complete opposite of that. No, the more obedient you are, the more you're walking into the mouth of death. That's what you are. You don't want to be obedient at all. You want to stand up for your rights. And like I said before, if people are coming at you, just close them off. You don't have to fight with them. You don't have to argue with them. You can cut them off. And I don't even know how much awareness, in all honesty, because they're not going to look at it the same way you're going to see it, You're going to see it on a totally different perspective, and you're going to find you're seeing it from a broader perspective. You're looking from up here, because this has to do with ascension. It has to do with consciousness. It has to do with perspective. So the more you grow, the more you pull away, and the more you can see things in a broader sense. And that has to do with why we stop judging each other, because then you start understanding, like, there's nothing to judge them about. Fuck, they're just trying to figure shit out. And, hey, and the more that we can be vulnerable and open up and say, hey, I'm going through this shit. You have any advice? Did you know anybody who's gone through this? You got any ideas? That helps us all to become better, because we're sharing. It makes us all better, stronger, smarter, because we use each other as part of our knowledge structure, instead of this competitive, I gotta be better than you, I gotta have the better job than you, I gotta make more than you, I gotta have more of this, more of that, when really we've just bought into the system that has enslaved us, because our minds are all fucked up. So, but, everybody is going to be waking up to the whole thing. But that just really irritated me, It's the whole thing with some of these celebrities. If they really just have no awareness of what's going on, and they're just waking up to it like us, then, it's rough, because they've been being used like fucking puppets. Like, they are like little ventriloquist dolls. They're, do this because we paid for you. What also got me the other day? I was watching a movie, and it had a A-list person, two A-list celebrities, that their child in a movie, and their child is having to degrade themselves 100%. Now, if this is so much like about A-list, celebrity, and all that stuff, so wouldn't these like royalty, wouldn't their kids, be like the upper echelon? And why would they be having to take their clothes off and lower themselves like that, Disgrace themselves, just whore themselves out. That's the system. Because none of it's real. It's all just to fuck us all. And so, yeah, I know there's people who are celebrities who are just waking up to it. And they're probably stressed as fuck. Like, fuck, because that is that karmic tie that I was talking about earlier today. You've associated yourself, you've attached yourself, your energy is attached with this, wherever it's headed. If it was headed in a direction and you were out there, like, yes, good, everyone do this, like some people are doing, then all the things that happen that are what we would consider not a positive thing, negative things that will happen, you are karmically attached. Your energy is attached to that. So, and that's for you to have to come back life after life, or spend some time in this one and get retribution. Focus on service to others. Focus on how you can help and heal the nation, heal the world. It's not just America. This is just one of the places. They've had the whole globe. And we've had certain leaders who have been coming out and saying, but, leaders, celebrities, all of them, anybody who speaks out against these powerful people, they'll do you in. They don't give a shit. They'll fucking kill your kids, your dog's right in front of you. They don't give a fuck. So, but now that it's all coming out so much, it's so much, out there, especially if you're looking, you can find it. You can find the fucking truth. Then they can't shut us all down. They can't come and kill us all at the same time. So there's too many, like they're being outnumbered. There's too many people who have seen and are speaking about it. All of the truth tellers and everybody is like, they can't hide it anymore. So that's the purge. That's us leaving that density, because we're going up. We're moving up. We're moving out, like the Jeffersons. We're moving up and out. But we'll still be Earth, but it will just not be in this kind of hell, hellacious density where there's been so much suffering. It's going to be so much better. You just think about abundance and not suffering and not being enslaved. Like, I this morning I was thinking about, the weekend and people just like live for the weekend and, oh, it's going to be the weekend. I'm going to go out. I'm just going to get drunk and I'm going to go out and just party. I'm going to go out and find someone to have sex with. Like everybody just like, I got to stay focused all these days, go to work and slave away, but then go completely insane when it's these days that I don't have to be there. So I was thinking, man, what are people going to do when they find out like that they have control over their lives and they don't have to go and do that 5 days a week? I mean, there could be a period of time where it's like fucking spring break for all this summer. It just turns into spring break. People just going fucking crazy. Who knows? But, it's not going to stay that way because we already know what's going to happen. We're on the trajectory. It's already happening. And where we end up is not going to be spring break, 2027 spring break. No, everybody's going to get the idea of what the fuck's going on. They're going to get focused. They're going to get their spiritual shit together because we still got that event coming. It's still hanging over our heads. And there'll be more talk about a lot more spiritual things. There'll be a lot more stuff about healing. Like even when I was at, a few months ago, I went in Rite Aid. I was trying to get a battery and the whole place was just torn up. And so I said, are y'all redesigning or something? She said, yeah, they're turning into they're going to all be all natural kind of healing stuff. Like they're going to more of a Eastern, an Eastern philosophy about healing, it seemed that she was saying. So see, there's going to be, and that's, well, I definitely would have corporation written all over it. And there's going to be, as the corporations are all dying, like, I don't know if it's going to be, mass death all in one day. A lot of them are going to go down in one day. There's so many people stepping down from their positions and stuff. Like you can see it collapsing. And I even saw something today about the silver and the gold or something like that, and there's some thing that's going on with the banks, like, because it's all fucking collapsing. Their whole system is collapsing, and that's what we're going to be headed for. So much more greatness, man. It is going to be so much more. I guess it will be some, like I like most of our grocery stores, corporate. And I would think that the things that, because don't forget the person who was doing a lot of this stuff for the last few years, which has been going on for a long time. Like I heard that person was on board all the way back when he was going and talking to Nixon. Like this plan has been going for a long time. Ever since, Bush thought it was okay to kill Kennedy, So there's been, oh man, when you go in and you start listening to some of these other historians tell about some of the other presidents and some of the other shit that went on, man, this shit, it's been so obvious. It's so, but none of us were paying attention. Generation after generation after generation, we've all just been manipulated. Man, their fucking best day was when they figured out how to put a box in our house to program us. That took a big turn. But it's also their downfall because they're falling down, So Anyways, that's just more of my thoughts, but I just hope that people can really start getting it through their head that this whole trans thing is an agenda. You don't just all of a sudden have like half the kids in elementary school suddenly don't know what. "Oh, I think I'm a girl. I think I'm a boy." None of them know. Like, and there's shit all the way through the school. Go into some public schools and go walk the halls and see what the propaganda is, that they're doing. I can't even believe anybody has their kids in school at this point. But anyways, it's an agenda, and it's an agenda for the dark side, and it's an agenda over control. It's an agenda over robbing. I mean, they don't give a fuck what body you're in. They don't give a shit. And it does them a lot better if none of us can have sex to reproduce. That works good for them. They just want laboratory anyways. They don't give a fuck about us. And once people see who's been ruling them, hopefully they'll start coming to their senses over some of this shit. But also we need some of these fucking celebrities, wake the fuck up. Wake up. Quit being so stuck in your bullshit. That is one thing that I have just seen. Like, all these people just get stuck in their own cesspool. Like, jump out of that pool, go down the street, jump in some other pools. Go see what some other shit is being said, Because you're not seeing things clearly. Go gain some perspective out there. Because and speaking out, well, it's their soul attachment to this negative energy. So, they're going to be the ones who have to deal with that. So, anyways, we can rest on that. So, okay, I'll talk to you later. Bye.